Morning, everybody. If you hear noises in the background, there are other people in the dining hall here with me, so just try to zone them out if you hear them. I'm just waiting for people to get in.
How many do you got?
4. I know. So I'll wait a couple more minutes just to see if some other people join. And then we'll get started here in a couple minutes. So I'm gonna assume everybody's in. So let's get started with it. So let's present. So I'm assuming I'm presenting. Yes, I am. Okay. So, hi everybody. Welcome to Elangomat training. My name's JJ O'Neill. Sorry, let me just get this set up for you. Okay. So, hi, my name's JJ O'Neill. We're going to be doing Elangomat training today. So, a couple things before we start. If everybody could have their mics muted, that would be very helpful until you have a question. If you do have a question, it says to just say it in the comments, but I would just say it out loud. There's not a lot of us, and because I'm presenting, I won't really be going back and forth. So just shout out if you have a question, and I'll try and answer to the best of my ability. So let's get started here. So Elangomat Program. So a couple things about myself. So I'm a senior at Willoughby South High School in Willoughby. I'm currently a Life Scout in the Boy Scouts. I'm a Vigil Honor member in the Erie Lenon Lodge. Currently, I hold the position of Vice Chief of Native American Traditions. So those are a couple things about me. So let's start with what is an Elangomat. So the direct translation to Elangomat is friend. So, through the ordeal and everything, although you're guiding them and training them, you just want to be their friend overall. You're there to help them, cheerfully, and, you don't want to, get them down and upset. So you're someone willing to give them themselves to bring others to realize the true meaning of the spirit of the OA. So what that means is, the spirit of the OA is that basically you're doing the right thing when nobody's watching. So the way like it was described to me is that, during your ordeal, how would you have reacted if Alawat Sakima was watching you, if Kitchkanet was right there next to you? So, you always want to have that mindset of doing the right thing when nobody's watching. So that is what the spirit of the OA is. So you need to, help them understand that, and, walk them through it and help them realize it. You're willing to go through the hardships of the ordeal again. So obviously, the Elangomat has to go through the ordeal again. So you need to be willing to do that, but you don't want to be doing it and be, like upset to go through it again. It shouldn't be like a burden you have to go through the second time. It should be, I want to help these new arrowmen get into the lodge. So you must be an example of the obligation. So obviously, we all know the obligation. At every point in the obligation, you need to, exemplify, to show to these candidates that, this is what the OA is about. We're not just here. We are here to have fun, but, there is service along with it. And, there's a brotherhood there. So, you need to be an example of that and just, live it. So responsibilities as an Elangomat. So first is, like I said earlier, to try and bring your candidates to the complete understanding of the spirit of the OA. So like I said before, doing the right thing when nobody's watching. You should, if say, that the ordeal master or head Elangomat, whichever you call it, they're not always going to be there. So you need to always be doing the right thing, which will help them to follow. You're going to want to take initiative in performing service and accomplishing tasks. So, if you guys finish a task early, you don't want to be just sitting around, waiting for something to happen. You need to be the one to say, let's do this next. Let's go stack firewood. There's many examples of what you could do once you finish your task. Next is to ensure candidates are performing all tasks fully and to take action if they are not doing their part. Excuse the typo there. So obviously we want everyone to be performing the tasks fully. The reason I have there to their ability is because obviously if, someone has, hurt their arm or like they broke their arm or something, they're still going through their ordeal. You can't have them, lifting heavy objects and, doing things that they're not able to do. So although we want everybody to perform tasks fully, you need to be aware of their situation. Like, if they have a disability or something, you need to be ready to accommodate that. The next is take actions if they're not doing their part. You don't want to be rude about it and yell at them, but, you want to, just, hey, we're trying to get this done here. How about you, pick up the pace a little bit, just something not mean, but, you don't want to sugarcoat it. So next is encourage candidates in their understanding of the ordeal. So the ordeal is different for everybody. So you need to encourage the candidates to have their own understanding of it. Obviously, you can't do this through words and talking, but just by, the way you set up the ordeal is how they're going to experience it and how they're going to understand it. So if, when they get the night alone, if you have it, just them alone, they're probably not going to, be as encouraged if they're with everybody else and not spread apart. Next is work to bring candidates to the ideals and instill that within them the virtues of brotherhood and cheerful service. So obviously, the Order of the Arrow is built on brotherhood, cheerful service. So you guys need to exemplify that, and just with showing them, you can explain to them the virtues. They'll more understand it. Be like, oh, this guy, he doesn't even know me, and he's helping me do this task. He seems like a cool guy, and not complaining when you get another task during the ordeal. They're gonna be like, oh, we like work. It's not something you normally enjoy outside of Scouts. So this is something that everyone can get excited for. Next, make candidates feel that they are part of the OA and work with them until they achieve brotherhood. So when you're working with them, obviously we have fun. So just have fun with them. Talk to the candidates or your new brothers. They are human. They're not just candidates. They can be your friends. and work with them till they achieve brotherhood. Even if you don't have brotherhood, encourage them. Hey, come to this event, get your brotherhood with me, because I know we get a lot of Ordeal candidates who do Elangomatting. Hey, why don't we go through this together? We'll both get brotherhood together and just keep working. So there's ways to, make them feel like they're a part of the brotherhood. Next, preparing for the ordeal. So first, you're going to obviously want to get your clans established and contact the candidates, encourage them to come and complete the ordeal. So I know a lot of the time we just throw the candidates together at the clans together at the last minute. The best thing, honestly, to do is beforehand, say, we want these people in your clan, these people in your clan, these people in your clan. Here are their phone numbers. Get them to come to the event. I know Iriel and on right now for our upcoming event, the LEC, we all have phone lists, so we have to go and call people. Same thing with your Elangomat or your candidates, excuse me. Just give them a call. Hey, I heard you got inducted. Congratulations. I would really like to see you come out and get your ordeal this weekend. I would be your Elangomat if you were to come, and just establish the connection beforehand, and just encourage them to come, so then they'll show up and know somebody before they get there. So know what you need to bring. So an unprepared, like I said, an unprepared Elangomat just looks bad, like straight up. So you want to know what you have. So if you show up and you don't have your tarp or your sleeping bag, they're going to be like, this guy's in charge of us. He doesn't know what he's doing. So you need to be prepared, and that's very important. They have the lists on, when you get called out, they'll give the candidates a list. I'm sure you can find the list and just know what you need to bring, just so you are prepared. Next, discuss the plan of the week with the ordeal master, as well as find out how you're going to communicate during the ordeal. So that's a big one. You want to communicate with your ordeal master, find out what's the plan, where am I going to be at what time, who am I working with, what service project are we going to be doing. Because if you're there and you don't know what's going on, that's going to be a lot more stressful for you and give the candidates a bad experience. Next is find out how you're going to communicate during the ordeal. So communication is key. I mean, I think you've heard that one enough times. You're going to want to communicate, so say you finish your task early, and even if you can just communicate through text or, like something like that, and just be like, hey, like text the ordeal master or head Elangomat. Hey, we completed our task. What can we do next? And then he'll come and, explain it for you and help you get started on that one. So next, the ordeal, Friday night. So first on Friday night, you're going to want to gather your clan once they arrived at camp. You're going to get to know them, give them a brief overview of what's going on or what's going to happen. So with the silence and the work, you're also going to want to find out about any dietary or physical restrictions. So like I said earlier with the phone call, this is going to be that'll lead up great to this moment, to be like, hey, I met you on the phone. Nice to put a face to the name, or, something like that. So it's going to be good to get to know them. And then you are allowed to give them a brief overview, hey, they're going to put you in silence. You're going to have to work. We're going to do service tomorrow. You can tell them about the fasting or whatever. Next, this is very important. I cannot stress this one enough. Although the lodge should know, you should also be aware of dietary or physical restrictions, just so you're aware. We don't want a candidate getting sick or, us forcing them to do something if they aren't able to. This would just obviously give them a very bad experience. We want them to have the best experience we can, and it's going to be so much more stressful for you. You don't want to, give somebody who's allergic to eggs, egg, and then have them throwing up and sick throughout their ordeal, and then you just feel bad the whole time. Although it is their experience, you don't want to have a bad experience either. We get it. So, just make sure you know those things ahead of time. Next, lead your clan to the pre-ordeal site and go through the ceremony with them. So the pre-ordeal, obviously you're all in the line watching the ceremony. You do go through testing the bow and doing all the tasks with them. So you're going to go through it with them. You'll test the bow. When they ask to take one step forward, you should also take one step forward, just because a lot of candidates are unsure if they should. If at this point a candidate does not, step forward, I know for us, we usually have an advisor, somebody on the outside, come up and say like, "Hey, what's going on? Do you not want to do this?" But you as an Elangomat can also try and take charge in doing that. Just be like, and step out and be like, "Hey, what's going on? It's really not that bad. You already paid for the event." So, yeah. Next,
Hey,
as you
Jacob.
lead your clan, what's up?
I just want to throw out there, Matt in the chat says he does not see the slides. I don't see them either. It doesn't
Okay.
appear presenting.
Okay. Well, let's figure this out. Huh. It has like share your screen. It doesn't let me click on share your screen. Let's try this again. Sorry for the technical difficulties, everybody.
It's okay. It's a new platform. Yeah, when I see present now, I get the option of your entire screen, a window, or a tab in Chrome. Is that what you get?
Yeah, but then like when it comes up, it doesn't. The share button is like gray. It doesn't let me click it.
Odd.
We'll figure this out. Dang. Sad you guys couldn't see my pictures. I had some nice pictures on the slides. A window, maybe? Let's see. Caden, do you want to help me with my technical difficulties? It won't let me present.
It won't let you present.
So I click share your entire screen, and then it does that and doesn't let me click it. Aha, we figured it out. Caden got it. So now we're sharing our screen. Nice. Can you guys see it now?
No.
No. Sorry.
Oh boy.
Oh, it's coming. There you go. Now I see it.
There we go. Now is it working?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thumbs up.
Okay. Here's what we'll do. I'm not going to say it all again because you guys heard me, but I'll give you, if you want to jot down notes or something or questions, I'll go back and then you can look at my awesome pictures that I have once it loads. I apologize for that. Okay. So this was about what is an Elangomat. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to jot down notes if you want to. Okay, and then here's the next one for responsibilities. If you are jotting down notes and I'm going too fast, let me know. I'll go back. And then here was preparing for the ordeal. Here was Friday night. So here's where we left off. So we'll just pick up from here again. So we're at, as you lead your clan away, you're in charge. So you're going to want to set them up for the night to sleep. When you set them up to sleep, you're going to want to know where they are, obviously, so that you can wake them up in the morning or sooner if there is like a weather issue. Also, let them know where you're going to be without talking. So you're going to want to, so once you leave the circle, you're in charge. You're the person who they're going to look up to and look to because they don't know what's going on. When you set them up, I know it's supposed to be like, there's a distance you're supposed to do. I'm not sure what it is, but have them a little bit spaced out. And then if you kind of do them in like a circle, normally is what people do, the Elangomat will go sleep in the middle next to their torch and they'll blow it out. But so you're going to want to sit there in the middle, blow out the torch and everything. Let them know, point in the direction you're going to be sleeping. So if they have an issue, they can come get you. If weather does become an issue, you are able to change some of the tasks if needed. So, like if it starts pouring buckets, don't have them sleep outside. Like I said, that's with the whole experience thing. It's not going to be fun, even though you're under a tarp. You're going to get soaked. It's not going to be fun. So that just doesn't sound like a good time. So next, the ordeal.
I'll
Yeah,
throw one more at you. Timing. If there's a storm coming in, timing is an important thing. When I took my ordeal back in 1995, I think it was 1994, 1995, we had a storm roll through, and they waited till after the storm had rolled through to pull us into the dining hall. It was kind of as a youth, I was like, "What's the point? I'm already wet."
exactly. So yeah, again, like that timing, do it beforehand. Don't get people wet. Like there's no point if they're already going to be wet. So let's keep everybody dry. Although it is an ordeal, it's still going to be you still want it to be a good experience and a memorable one. So next, Saturday, part 1. First, you're going to want to wake up candidates, gather them, give them their breakfast. I think you give them one of the booklets at this point, and then you're going to eat with them in silence. They can read through the booklets. I know I say this, I'm going to say this later, but don't talk with them about the booklets. The booklets are going to be their own, they can take it as they want. And then it's obviously just something for them to read in the morning when they're eating. They're tired. They probably didn't sleep well because, you're outside. So let them read it on their own time, give them their breakfast, and then just eat in silence. Next, you're going to want to work with candidates in silence and lead them on what to do. If explaining is needed, it should be done by the ordeal master verbally. You should not talk. You're going to want the ordeal master to do that. Say, like I said, you finish your task, have the ordeal master say, hey, here's what we're going to do next. You should just listen. You're the Elangomat, but you're essentially a candidate with privileges if you really think about it. So obviously you're in charge, but you're doing everything that they're doing. Next, so remember how you work and act is going to reflect on them. You will be what they most remember from the ordeal. I know from my ordeal, my Elangomat was great. He didn't speak, but he also was a very good guide. He was amazing. So I've remembered that and how you're gonna. So if you work lazy, your candidates are gonna work lazy. You need to be ready to do it. You need to be excited to be there. You're at the ordeal. We love the OA, right? Even if you're having a bad time or a bad day, get happy. You're at Scouts. You want to be encouraging, obviously without talking, but you want to be encouraging. You want to be hardworking, and what you do, they're probably going to follow. Next, the ordeal Saturday, part 2. Shortly before the time of the ordeal ceremony, going to want to make sure all the candidates get into their full Class A uniforms, or I'm pretty sure they call it Class A's in Venturing and Sea Scouts and Explorer Scouts. So make sure they get into their, Class A's. As the OA member, you should be wearing your sash and uniform, or I don't know if this is really allowed anymore, but regalia, if that's what you guys do. I know there's situations with regalia right now, but if you do a regalia, put on your regalia. Next, you're going to want to head to the ceremony and line up the candidates. You're going to head to the ceremony, line up the candidates. Excuse the typo there. You should be next to the candidates in line because you're already bond in the OA. So you don't want to be in the line with them. And then same thing for when Kitchenet binds them with the rope. You don't want to be in line with them. You kind of want to be next to them. You don't need the rope around your wrist because, you already went through your ordeal. You're already in the OA. For the ceremony, you should go stand with the other members outside the circle. I know it's technically in the circle at the seats, but you should be in there with the rest of the OA members. And then once Alawat widens the circle, you're going to want to go join your clan. So it'll be nice to just go stand by your clan. They're finally arrowmen. You're excited for them. And then once the ceremony is over, you're going to want to be the first ones to congratulate your members. Besides the ceremonialists, you should be the first one because you've been with them this whole weekend. You've seen them go through all these tasks. it's a proud moment for you too. You led the clan, they made it. Don't don't what's the word I'm looking for? You don't want to under appreciate yourself, I guess. I couldn't think out a word that. Be proud of yourself. You led these candidates. This was a very, good experience for you and hopefully them. So congratulate them, shake their hand, exchange phone numbers, get to know them. So after the ordeal, like I said, you already have a bond with these individuals. So strengthen it, make friends, get them involved. We don't want to, I know the cursed phrase, they don't want them to sash and dash. Talk to them. If you exchange numbers with them, get them involved. Hey, we have a position open in culinary. We need ceremonialists. We need people to help with program. We need people to help with finance. Get them involved. We love people being involved in the OA. And it's a great time. Like, tell that to them. We love being involved in the OA. This is why we're Elangomatting. Encourage them to come to more events by reaching out to them. Like I said, exchange phone numbers and then be like, hey, come to the next event. It's going to be a blast. I think earlier I said, you should stick with them until brotherhood. So like I said, even if you don't have brotherhood, hey, you want to go get our brotherhood together? I know we did, or I was your Elangomat, but let's go get our brotherhood. Even though it seems like it's done after the weekend, even though you're not an Elangomat, you're still a leader to them. You're always going to be their Elangomat. So you need to, always encourage them, hey, come to an event. You can talk now, actually. You don't have to be quiet the whole time. If you want them to come back, they're going to want to come back. Hopefully, like I said, it's science, so yeah. Next, what not to do. So a couple things on what you can't actually do. You cannot disqualify your candidates. Only they can do it themselves. Obviously, we don't want them to disqualify themselves. So give them a good experience. But even if they're not doing any work, really, you just got to push them. You can't tell them to go home or disqualify them or say you can't get your ordeal. Next, don't let others distract you or your candidates. If somebody else at camp is trying to distract you guys, trying to make it harder on them, that would be, if there was a moment to talk, you go up to them and be like, hey, we're going through our deal. Please, if you could just, leave my candidates be. They're already going through a rough time, or not rough time, but, a hard weekend. If you could leave us be and let us get to work, that'd be great. Just don't be mean about it. Just, discuss with them. Next, never let candidates see you act incorrectly. Obviously, you're their example the whole weekend. If you're talking when you're not supposed to be talking, they're going to think it's okay. If you're not working, they're not going to work. If you're sneaking snacks through the ordeal, they're going to think that's okay. So you need to be not picture perfect, but close to it. You want to, you're their example. They're looking up to you the whole weekend. Your eyes are on you the whole weekend. So you want to be, the best version of an arrowman that you can be. Next, never tempt your candidates into breaking the tests. That seems kind of self-explanatory, but don't be like, oh, you can just talk, or, oh, here's a candy bar. Just if you do it, I'm not going to tell anybody. So that's just rude, obviously. Don't do that. They're, like I said, having a rough time because it's a new experience for them, and that's just going to make it more difficult. Next, always work. You should never be sitting around. That doesn't mean you individually. That means you as your clan. When you finish your task, text the ordeal master. Hey, we're done. What can we do? You want to always be, doing something. Obviously, it's an ordeal. It's not supposed to be easy, but it's not supposed to be crazy hard. So you always want to be doing work. You always want to figure out what you can do next. If you finish your task, you text the ordeal master, and he's like, I'll be 30 minutes. Find stupid work to do. Clear the trail if you haven't been doing that already. Make wood piles. Just, find busy work, even though busy work that's going to be helpful. Don't move a stick from point A to point B for no reason. Find busy work that'll end up being helpful some way. Next, do not discuss the spirit of the OA handbooks or spirit of the arrow handbooks. Like I said earlier, those are for them to interpret how they want to. You don't want to influence how they experience their ordeal. You want them to, it's their own experience. It's not, your experience. It's not your experience for them. So let them, read them, and they're supposed to ponder them in the silence technically. So let them read it, let them take it as it is. Don't, if they want to talk about it amongst themselves after, we can't control that, but you don't want to be like, oh no, you're wrong, it's actually this is what it meant. Next, no talking. Like I said, with the being an example, you cannot talk. They're not allowed to talk either. That's the one task that no one is really watching you do all the time except for you as the Elangomat. The food, you're getting brought the food, the work, you're not just going to not do the work. The talking is the one where you are able to like break it when nobody's around, but you cannot do it because it's in the rules. So don't talk. So next, discussion time. So if anybody has any questions, comments, or anything, now's our time to have a discussion on what I just talked about. So I'm going to exit this and stop sharing the screen. Stop presenting, maybe? I got it. Okay. Am I not presenting anymore? I don't think so. So if you have a question or a comment or something, shout it out. You can type in the chat if you want, but just say it. That'll be easier. So does anybody have any questions or comments or anything?
JJ, how would you get Elangomats to stop talking? Because we both know that in our lodge, a lot of the Elangomats like to talk. So how would you get them to stop?
That is a tricky one, Trevor. I do know of a few people who do like to chat when they're Elangomatting.
If it makes you feel any better, it's not just your lodge.
I assumed. Let me actually think about that one.
Like personally,
probably just.
When I was
Sorry, what were you saying, Trevor?
Personally, when I was the Ordeal master, I set the rule for the Elangomats that you guys can talk to spread information and whatnot, but they usually like to spread a lot of information.
Anyway.
They don't yet.
Maybe just, the only thing I think maybe, especially for new Elangomats, like, and I do kind of specifically know who you're talking about, Trevor. Remind them of their purpose for being an Elangomat. Maybe just don't be like, oh, you're Elangomatting this weekend. Be like, you're Elangomatting. You need to, you are, even just explain some of the things I talked about. You're the example of the obligation. This is their experience. And then if it's somebody, that you're close with, maybe tell them to shut up and smack them across the face. I mean, I'm not promoting that, but
No.
I'm joking for legal reasons.
Why are you joking?
So, yeah.
I think maybe one thing to throw in there if we're our fellow Elangomats and trying to encourage them to obey the rules themselves. Look at them and say, how many times have you had a candidate just sit there and talk and talk and talk? If you're setting the bad example, then guess where they're getting it from, or something
exactly.
Like
that. Yeah. So I think just more explaining would be, great. Just being like, yo, you got to stop talking. You're their example. They're not supposed to talk, and if you're talking, they're gonna talk. And I know it is hard, and that is, like I said, that's the big one, and it is really hard to get people to stop doing it. So we have to just try the best we can with what we can do. Does anybody have any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So
Okay.
You're the candidates that are Elangomatting for adults are talking, and you try to get them to stop talking.
Do you mean adult candidates?
Yeah, like the adult candidates and the youth, both.
Again, probably just remind them, like, you guys aren't supposed, like, as the Elangomat, just be like, hey, you guys aren't supposed to be talking. Like, if you're just like kind of letting it happen, they're gonna think it's okay. I'm not saying that you are, but just be like, hey, you're not supposed to talk. Like, again, if there was a time you were supposed to talk, go up to them and be like, hey, you guys aren't supposed to be talking. Remember silence. And just, simple reminders like that. And even if they keep doing it behind them, I know it'll be annoying, but just keep reminding them, hey, you're not supposed to be talking right now. Or even just remind, I know you're not supposed to discuss it and you're supposed to help them understand it. Be like, how would you feel if Alawas Kimo was watching you right now? How would you feel if Kitchenet was watching you right now? Would you still be talking?
I find myself a lot of the time just looking at him and say, please remember your vow of silence. And I find that I have worse problems with the adult candidates than I have with the youth candidates.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Hope that helped you. JJ, did we lose you?
Hey, hang tight, everybody. We're going to try to get JJ back on.
No worries. So while waiting on JJ, I figure I'll throw out real quick who all here has Elangomated in the past.
I have.
I have.
I have.
I'm just going to show up as CJ for a little bit. So, hi, everybody, again. So let's continue our discussion. If nobody has any more questions, does anybody have any fun Elangomat stories they want to share? I'm not hearing any.
Well, I know at the summer, there are some fun stories from our summer induction, just from the non-vigil side. Elangomat, Ordeal Master, all that stuff.
Well, share a story about Elangomatting.
So, at the this summer induction, which was what, a month ago, JJ?
Yeah, I think so.
Honestly, it was our biggest event of the year because we haven't had any events of the year, and we were all doing something new. And one of the mistakes we as an LEC made was being vastly underprepared. So we went into the weekend with one service project, and about 9-10 o'clock on the Friday, we realized that we needed about 7 more. So that night, me and a couple other people were scrambling around to try and just throw together a bunch of random projects. So that's also a thing that, even though you're a Langamat, you could still talk to the Ordeal Master and the Vice Chief of Program and everyone to make sure everything's going. But I know we get
See, that's why I discussed the thing, have your plans ready beforehand. So, I know I know you guys do a great job and everything, Trevor. I'm not bashing you, but, just, discuss with them beforehand, here's the service projects we need, even over plan, get more service projects. And if they don't get done, they don't get done. It sucks, but, because you'd like to get them all done, but have more prepared if you need it. Anybody else have a fun Elangomat story they want to share?
So years ago, I was Elangomatting at an ordeal, and our task was to burn a brush pile. Things that have been over the summer, and that was fun. But it was also really fun for all my candidates because we got to the giant more stuff, things like that. A project that they'll remember. And I had candidates come up to me after, like, "Man, do you have any fires we can do this time?" Just because they enjoy doing it. Things like that can make it fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, like with the experience thing, make it the best experience you can for them. Sorry if I was talking over Greg.
Nope.
Make it I'll let you talk if you were talking, Greg.
Oh, I was going to say exactly. Make it the best
Yeah.
experience you can.
Just make it a good experience for them. Find things to make it fun. Even though you can't talk, you can still have fun. So that's a key thing as an Elangomat. I'm not sure what time we're supposed to get out of here. Is it 6:40? 45? Okay. So we got like 6 more minutes. So anybody has another fun story? Caden, do you have any fun Elangomat stories that you would like to share with the Google Meet? Caden has a fun Elangomat story. He's going to special guest for us real quick. Say hi to Caden, everybody.
Hi, Caden.
Hey.
Hi, Aiden.
Hi. So I was a Elangomat about a year ago, and we were dumping gravel onto a path to make it a better path. But then so we were hauling the gravel with a wheelbarrow, right? So I lost balance while pushing the wheelbarrow down the path. I fell into a thorn bush.
Oh, no.
So I was picking thorns out of my back that night. It wasn't fun. Yeah, I'm still alive. Infections.
And cheerful about it.
And
I am cheerful.
because it's cheerful service. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does anybody have any last minute questions that have come up? I don't want anybody to go away from the meeting, not knowing something. So if you have a question, please speak up. I'll answer to the best of my ability.
I have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
So, if the Elangomats aren't supposed to talk, how do you tell the Ordeal candidates what you're doing during the service project?
So a lot of the times you're going to want the Ordeal master to do that rather than you. You can probably, if you're explaining, there's probably moments where you could, say, hey, we're going to do this, but then don't talk. It's more, the no talking thing is more of the don't talk the whole time. Obviously if you're explaining something, you may need to, but for the most part, you're going to want to try and have your Ordeal master explain what you're doing for the most part. Just because you're going through your ordeal again, so you don't talk, right? If there's the Ordeal master isn't available to explain it, explain it. I'm not going to tell you to not, just stand there and try and explain with your hands. So if you need to talk, you probably can, but.
So unfortunately, over in Tecumseh, we don't have it quite as planned out right now for the ordeals, and the fact that the Elangomat is supposed to be giving the directions and doing the directions.
I think 2 people are talking at the same time, just so you guys know.
I hear feedback coming off from G.
Okay. Josh, you were saying something?
So, yeah, okay. So what I was saying is over at the Tecumseh Lodge, we're not doing a very good job of having stuff pre-planned like that, so we'll show up on the day of. And that's where Cynthia was coming from with that question is the Ordeal Master, Phil's handing out the sheet saying, here's your assignment for the first session, but the Elangomat has to give those directions. Also, one of the things I've told as I've Elangommatted it, one of the things I've told the candidates is if I ask you your name, that's all bets are off with that because I need to know. I need to be able to call you by name if something's happening. So anytime safety or project intent is on the line, we should be allowed to. At least my opinion is we should be allowed to talk to get the message across, but shut back up.
Yeah. If like there's a moment like if you need to explain something, talk. It's just like don't talk the whole time. Don't be explaining something the entire time you're working. Explain what you're doing. If they need help, like doing something, you can try and explain it without words. If they're just not getting it, explain it with words. But the idea is just that you're going through the ordeal again, so you're not supposed to talk just like they're not supposed to talk. So there's moments where you can, as an Elangomat, like I said, you're a candidate with privileges, basically. So, if there's a moment you need to talk, speak up, talk. That just makes it harder. I'm sorry, what'd you say, Greg?
So something I've done in the past is, for example, if you have to clear a trail out and widen it, the Elangomat goes and grabs one of the tools and just starts working. And then you turn back to the candidates and wave one of them over and hand over your tool to them. And it indicates that they should continue. And then you keep doing that and draw more people in. Eventually they'll get it and they'll all come over and start helping. You can just kind of guide them and show them how wide the trail should be. And of course, depends on what the project is. Preparation helps for that.
Yeah, that's definitely a good way to explain to candidates what you're doing is just by showing. Just explain by doing. That's going to be a good tool that you can use throughout the weekend. So I think that's all the time we have. I'm sorry for all the technical difficulties that we had. I hope you took something away from this meeting. If you have any questions, feel free to email the section. I'm not sure what the email is off the top of my head. It's on the website. Feel free to email if you have a question. We'll try to get back to you. Thank you for joining. I hope you guys have a great rest of Conclave and a great rest of your day. So thank you and have a good one.
Thank you, JJ. Good job presenting.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job, JJ. Thanks.
Good job.